Hey cousins, welcome to another episode of Respectfully, and this is a special edition. So if you guys saw like a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago at this point, Mr. Rodriguez and I went to a Charlie Kirk American Comeback Tour stop, and oh my goodness, were we talking some mess behind the scenes, chat. We were talking some mess because it was crazy seeing some of these debates that were happening. And, you know, some of them were actually quite civil. And I was impressed by some of these students that may have leaned more left, but they came up and had a respectful conversation. So we love those too. But besides that, there were a fair share of crash outs that made me think, I really just need to sit and dedicate a full episode of just reacting to the chaos that's happening on these college campuses. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Rodriguez?
I would 100% agree. I even think that us going out there was so eye-opening. That was my first time going to a Charlie Kirk event and just seeing how there's a lot of support, there's a lot of traction, there's a lot of momentum behind this movement, which is so awesome. But there's also a lot of craziness, and seeing that firsthand is just like, wow, there's people that really, really talk this way or really believe in this really far-fetched stuff and making outlandish claims even towards Charlie. So wholeheartedly agree.
These people have no common sense. They have no decency. There were some people that were so crazy. I was shocked, in tears almost. I was mortified that society has reached this point. So without further ado, let's get into this mess.
You mentioned you think abortion is a scientific thing, like life starts at conception. That's like scientifically proven.
When does your DNA start?
DNA start? Man, your DNA...
When is your DNA formed?
Are you seriously arguing that the seat of the soul is DNA?
It's the beginning of the process of human development. When did your development begin as a human?
I mean, yes, I'm a bio student. I am aware of the process of...
Pause real quick. This is
gamete
scary.
fusion. So I would ask you, when did...
This is scary. Like you're studying bio, or you're in the biology space, and you don't understand the basic premise that DNA is literally the foundation of how we're created. Like if you break it all the way down, like to our atoms and all of that, like the real thing that gives us life is DNA. Why is that such a controversial thing?
Human life begin?
So my life, in what sense? Do you mean like...
When did your life become worthy of protection?
When I became actually conscious and able to speak?
So like, able to speak, so like 2 years old.
I think I was a bit earlier than that.
Babies usually don't speak till about year and a half. So if I murdered you at 6 months, that's okay?
Yes.
And you're a bio student at UC Riverside?
Yes.
The fact that he's a bio student at this university shows the horrifying moral rot happening in higher education.
You mentioned you think abortion...
See, I'm convinced the left is just a death cult. Because if you really break it down to everything that they stand for, it's like, it's one thing to be pro-choice. It's another thing to be like, oh, we don't care if the baby is six months old, still take its life because it has no meaning yet. That's really scary. That is terrifying. And when you really look into the root of every single thing that leftists, these radical leftists stand for, it really does lead to depopulation and the demise of society. But that's a whole another conversation for another day. It's just mind-blowing to me that this person could stand up there. And let's say, giving him the benefit of the doubt, let's just say that he was that desperate to not concede, which... Again, that shows a lot about your character, which there's really no win of this, no matter how you try to frame it in his situation. But even if he was just saying that to be petty, how do you not understand what's just wrong with the premise of what you just said is a life doesn't have any value or meaning until you start speaking? It's like, so you're telling me that he literally just said these newborn babies that are as dependent on their parents as they possibly can be. You're telling me that baby has no life. These people are homicidal maniacs. That's wild. Again, I can understand being pro-choice. What I don't understand is someone that sees the life of an infant as such a valueless just clump of cells. Like it's wild to me. It's honestly sad and disheartening, especially considering that this is someone that's getting into the bio space.
Oh, it says Charlie is a Nazi. Wow.
So I know you're obviously very anti-trans.
No, I'm pro-reality.
Okay, if you were pro-reality, let me tell you a story that explains this sign a little bit.
Let me guess, all the Nazis were against trans people too, and therefore that makes me a Nazi.
Yeah, you mean the
Wait, hold on.
You mean all of the Nazis that was the first book burning.
Wait, hold on.
The first people, just like Donald Trump, the first people that Nazis went after were trans people and immigrants, and you fail to see the parallels with that.
Can we pause real quick? I would love to see a fact check on that, because I really doubt that even that transgenderism was a thing at the point that he's talking about. There's always been cross-dressers, but I don't think that there were people who were delusional enough to actually think that they were the other gender. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Not me sneezing on camera. That is mortifying. That's actually my biggest fear. And look, I survived. But what I can't survive is people that are this stupid. And like... to go up there and say that Charlie is a Nazi, it's really sad to see how some of these terms have just lost all value and meaning. Because what do you mean Charlie is what? Let's keep going.
I do have a dog.
So did
His name's
Hitler. Are you a
Houdini. I love
Nazi?
him.
Oh my goodness. You have a dog, and so did Hitler.
Oh.
I can't believe it. Hitler had a dog. You have a dog. You're a Nazi.
Oh my God. Do you have short hair and up teeth? You must be a Nazi, motherfucker.
Let's elevate our discussion above personal insults.
Okay, pause. The fact that I know Charlie literally just said, let's elevate this above personal insults, but I have to say the fact that this person would even discuss somebody else's looks is insane. Like crazy. Like, I know some of y'all hate on my hair, but that two-tone red skunk, black widow haircut, oh no, ma'am. But, it's like people who are this passionate about transgenderism really just throw me off too. Again, that's another thing that I feel like falls in this umbrella of the left being the death cult low-key, because it's like you want people to not be able to reproduce so bad. It's like, yes, let's fight tooth and nail for people to mutilate their genitals, bro. Like, that makes you so for the power. It's like, let's go chop off people's and tits. Like, come on now.
Let's try to... You see, the left can't debate, so they just call names.
And he really thought he ate this. He thought he ate that. He thought he was the man when he walked through, and I know he was musty. And my condolences to everybody that was in the front row when his armpits went up. He even had his homegirl sitting there recording this, just thirsty for a viral moment. So desperate and thirsty for a viral moment. It's like so weird to me. Like, I just don't get it. It's like, for what? You want this clout for what? For your 15 seconds of fame? Not even 15 minutes? It's just so corny. And then for him to sit there and just like concede to his own argument so quickly because he was trying to draw the most minute parallel to try to make Charlie seemed like he was a Nazi, and then when Charlie flips that same rhetoric onto him, then he decides to talk about Charlie's teeth. First of all, the struggle for you to afford Charlie Kirk's dental plan is the real tea. Let's get into that. Okay? There's levels to this, and you haven't even hit beginner. Next.
Looks like we have a Satanist to begin. Yeah.
Rebuke in the name of Jesus. I don't even feel comfortable with this on my screen.
In the name of Jesus,
okay,
I
that part.
This unclean spirit.
Whatever he is saying, I rebuke in the name of Jesus. Ew. So corny. Even like real Satanists don't do this. That's the funny part about this.
Was that your question?
Like, this is literally just like a goofball in a costume. But at the same time,
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Pause real quick. I am happy that Charlie immediately rebuked all of that in the name of Jesus, because as corny and goofy as these people are, you got to be careful with people casting spells. Look, I'm Creole. I have a lot of people in my family who do voodoo, and that dark magic is very powerful, and you have to rebuke that in the name of Jesus the second you encounter even the thought of it. Oh no, I don't know what that man was chanting, but in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke it. For me and all my listeners, all my cousins.
Not today, Satan.
I'm not going to hell.
Illinois State University.
Not today and not any other day. Oh no. It's like, okay, I get it. You want to go to hell, but don't take me with you. I'm not built for that. I don't even like that kind of heat. And there's a lot of people I don't like who I know are going to be there. So I'm not going to hell. And neither is Charlie. That's just strange. And again, this is another person that is just completely wildly unserious, because if you meet actual people who are Satanist, they don't do that. Like, that's not their thing. Like, that's just a person in a costume who wants clicks. And congratulations, we clicked you. Next.
Hey, Charlie,
Who is killing them?
who is killing African Americans?
Yes.
Each other.
People are killing people.
No. What race is killing them?
Why are y'all trying to act like African Americans are just solely murdered? People are killing people.
No. What
That's a real
race is
problem
killing?
that we
Is it
have.
white people killing blacks or blacks killing
People are
blacks?
killing people, Charlie.
Okay.
Pause
hold
real
on.
quick.
What?
The tea is this: nobody wants to ever sip it, but 90% of people that are murdered that look like me are murdered by other people that look like me. Okay, and I don't know if this debate goes all the way there, but let me just put this out there because people always like to act confused. They try to say that it's only because of proximity. Yes, there is an element of proximity because obviously you're not going to go. I mean, more often than not, you're not about to hop on a plane and go kill somebody down the street. So I don't even know why that's even a question or an objection when we talk about black on black crime. When I say that black on black crime is an epidemic, do not then say to me that, oh, it's only because they're in close proximity to each other. When murder happens, what do you think is happening? Do you think that the average person who commits murder just like flips a coin and lets it land on a state on a map and then books a flight to go kill that person? No. It's a cultural thing. It's a community thing. I hate to say it's a race thing, but if we're going to talk about BLM, when do they matter? That has been the question that I've been asking since 2021. So people who try to say that like it's irrelevant, it's like that's crazy. Then you try to make it seem like black people are being hunted down by the police. I feel safer around police officers, Caucasians, and in any Caucasian neighborhood than I do walking through a hood. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it. But there's a reason that when black people start getting a bunch of money, more often than not, they move out of the hood. And it's not just race, you know, it's a poverty thing. There's all these other elements into it. But when it all is said and done, 90% of people who are murdered that look like him, that look like me, are murdered by people who look like him, but never like me. Next.
Race is
You're
killing
saying
the other
what race is killing what race more? That does not matter.
It does matter because it's a black on black problem.
It's a
and
black
blacks
on black
need to
problem,
solve
or is it
the
a
problem
crime
of
problem?
black on black
Is
violence.
it a black on black problem or is it a crime problem?
It's a black on black problem that is a crime problem. Because I'll tell you why. If it was a bunch of kids from Deerfield coming in with guns, it would be a white problem. But somehow, if it was a black on black problem, oh, it's a crime problem. It's systemic injustice. It's the police.
No,
not
what
enough
you're
funding.
saying is, Charlie, you're forgetting that these locations that you're bringing up are secluded by these races. So these races
Charlie ate him
might
up.
have a easier time with policing, and yeah, they're gonna have nearly response time of 2 seconds.
Wait, it's the police's fault that so many blacks are killing other blacks?
Who just said that?
You did.
I said that?
Yes. No, but
Girl,
no,
please.
I want you to
I mean,
tell
we
me,
could rewind and
why
hear it
is
again.
that black Americans are 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders?
Where can you show me that?
Again, it's FBI statistics. It's well
FBI
known.
statistics. Where can you show me that at? Can you give me
ask
substantial
ChatGPT,
evidence
ask
with
Grok.
fact? Why would I ask ChatGPT
Ask
when
Grok
ChatGPT has shown?
I know that's right.
What?
Prove
No,
it.
do
Again,
your own
anyone near you
research.
can show you the
ChatGPT has shown
stats, right?
proven
It's
data
right
that
there.
it is-
Look, man.
Let's read it.
Oh, the receipts. Yes, sister. Shout out to black women.
Wait, pull it back up, pull it back up, pull it back up. Boo, yeah. Charlie, for the sake of myself, I really do appreciate the ability to debate with you, man.
I want you to think about what I asked you.
Okay, you mind if I have a hat?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, I actually love the way that ended. I love the way that ended. Look at that, being civil. Watch him end up being a black conservative, and like probably by now. Because sometimes that's all it takes. That is really all it takes. Because, you know, if y'all don't know my background, I grew up around Marxists, leftists, progressives, you name it, very liberal background. And I was a BLM activist. I fell for all the BS. I thought that we were being hunted down by the police. I thought that it was racist to bring up black on black crime. Like, I was everything that gentleman up there was. And it got to a point where you can only see the truth so many times and have this, you know, cognitive dissonance, or like you can only look at the truth so many times and deny the truth before you realize like, oh, I'm just delusional or I'm lying to myself. And, you know, seeing the statistics about crime, seeing the statistics that BLM was just completely misrepresenting, and seeing the real stats that have to do with BLM, all of that changed the game for me. The real thing, because people always ask like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? For me, it was even seeing where BLM's money was going. So when you start to see all this truth and all this evidence, it leads people off of the left's plantation. Okay, so, you know, this brother right here, I can tell he's got a good heart to him, good spirit. It also seems like he's hungry to learn a little, just has the appetite to learn, because him looking at the stats and being like, oh, well, let me get that hat real quick, chow, and being respectful to Charlie, that is already showing the signs of someone that is going to wake up away from the woke. And I love that. Charlie is really out here changing minds. And and shout out to the black girl who pulled up those receipts at the speed of light in the name of Whitney Houston. I know that's right.
Can we both agree at one point black people weren't allowed into the NBA? And then they allow them to be in NBA. Wouldn't that be DEI in itself?
No. It's actually the opposite.
What?
You're
How
mistaken,
so?
my friend. It's actually, we're getting rid of any racial stereotyping. What happened was actually a form. No, DEI is racial stereotyping. So what actually was before was a form of white preference DEI, which is white supremacy or whatever. And then we got rid of it. We said, we're not going to discriminate it. And the quality of play got better. Do you guys see the difference between the two? You see, it's very important. Well, no, actually, I'm talking to both you and the crowd, right? I'm talking to both. What you want is you actually want to bring back a form of how Major League Baseball and the NBA used to work before we desegregated. When you're hiring somebody, would you rather hire someone that's black or someone that there is excellent?
So that's what we're talking about.
Okay, can we pause real quick? Here's the thing that, again, when it comes to the left and how they befoul so many different terms that have a good meaning or a powerful meaning. Oh, excuse me. When we talk about DEI, diversity is not inherently a bad thing. Equity, I think, is trash. I think equality is really what we should be striving for. Equality meaning everybody starts from equality and equity, like the difference between the two. Like equity is like, we're going to subsidize everything to try to make everybody equal. Equality is like, no, it's like fair is fair. Let things play out organically. And then inclusion, it's like, okay, being able to include people, having diversity, those are great things. But when you force diversity and you force inclusion and you prefer equity over equality, that's where we run into a problem. Okay, I made a joke recently about Rihanna's makeup line, Fenty Beauty. Stay with me here. And about how Fenty Beauty, I called it DEI makeup, which disrespectful, but I was just trolling. No Rihanna slander allowed. I love it. I love Rihanna. Shout out to bad gal Riri. Low-key a conservative, by the way. Or low-key not woke. I'll put it that way. When Rihanna came out with Fenty Beauty, the reason it became this multi-billion-dollar brand and shifted the entirety of the makeup space is because it actually did strive for diversity, equality, and inclusion. And what I mean by that is when it came to like makeups and the different types of makeup, there were only certain shades, and like if you were anything in between, you were excluded. Rihanna, when she did her whole launch, she did like an insane amount of shades of every different complexion and hue and skin tone and all of that. You know, that was cool to see. Like that was real. Y'all are quick with them clips. It was real. It's gonna look like a commercial. I wish I was advertising for Rihanna. Rihanna, sweetie, if you ever have an ad you want to throw my way, I'll do it. I would do it for free. I just want you to sign a check. It could be a check for $0.00. Rihanna, I would pay you. Rihanna, to promote your business. But anyway, let me not do too much. But I meant what I said. But when she started her makeup line, it was like all these different shades, and it was real diversity, and it was real inclusivity where more people were able to utilize her products. That was cool. That was groundbreaking. That was when diversity was organic and inclusion was organic, and it was a cool thing to see. It created the equality where now more people are able to equally access their skin tone. DEI and what it is today is this forced diversity, just making people lower their standard of excellence because there's people that you don't want to bring up. You claim that you want to bring up, but you can't rise to low expectations. So when you lower the bar so that it's easier for other people to get over, all you're doing is making the quality of everything worse. And that was what was happening in the NBA. It was basically like Charlie was saying, it was this preference of only white athletes, so that when they started letting in black athletes and started allowing it to be about skill rather than skin complexion, the quality of everything gets better, because then you have the best of the best that are hitting the standard. And then it's funny because Asians are the one minority group that gets, they get excluded from they're viewed as white when it comes to DEI. But you want to know the tea on that? It's because Asians have the highest standard, the highest barrier of entry to everything that they do. Like for universities, they have to score the highest. For jobs, they only get the cream of the crop. Like all of this. So it's like the ones that you see, the Asians that end up being visible, they are the best of the best of the best. And then meanwhile, they're with mediocre people in other demographics because they don't have that same barrier of entry. So again, DEI, diversity is not a bad thing when it's organic. And that's what people need to understand the difference of. But I'm curious what's the rest of what he had to say.
Actually, it is. So let me prove it to you. As I said, according to the Student for Fair Admission Supreme Court case, black students were able to get into Harvard with
affirmative action, not DEI.
Affirmative action. Time out.
You're
Time out. You're getting too worked up here, man. Okay.
He needs coconut oil on his braids.
In practice, wouldn't you prefer a country built
his
on
scalp is dry.
excellence and merit, not one based on forced pigmentation diversity? Why does somebody's skin color matter?
One thing about Charlie, he's gonna cook. He was cooking him down, frying them braids. That was good. That was a good debate. I hope the guy that was up there ended up learning something, because you can tell he's passionate. If he could take that passion and put it in a direction of truth, I think there's going to be so much power there.
Make eye contact with me, please, like a man.
Wow.
Wait,
so you acknowledge that I'm a man? I thought that you're like this trans activist.
I am a man, and you are a man, and you'll look me in the eye like a man.
I could see that you're a struggling individual. I do want to ask a question.
Oh my goodness, the way I'm quoting that today. I see that you're a struggling individual is crazy work. I just clutched my own pearls. And then I look at this girl or this trans man and I'm like, oh, sweetie, who hurt you? I see the struggle.
Ask about that. I'm not a woman. I don't care. I wouldn't know. I'm asking you about
trans men. I got it. But what is a woman?
This is your gotcha point.
Better question.
You are
what
moving
is a man?
The flag post.
What is a man?
I already am a man. You sit like a...
The irony of that, it's like you literally just talked about how you are a trans man, but then you insult Charlie as a... It's so funny how the left, the things that they praise, they then utilize and weaponize it as an insult the second that somebody disagrees with them. That is hilarious. And this is, again, another one of those situations where it's like, you are not a man, you are a disgruntled lesbian that has probably been harmed by somebody in your past. And I wouldn't say that about everybody with body dysmorphia, because I do acknowledge that it is a real mental disorder, but that person there, that's just somebody who's unhappy. You were just an emotional, disgruntled lesbian. Like, you are not a man. And no man... Please, no one is conducting themselves like that as a man. So, anyway, next.
So, what is a woman?
I don't know. That one's hard. I know that's your line, and I think that's hard to say, man. I don't know. But what do you think is a woman?
Well, a woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. It's not difficult, right?
I disagree.
He can't be serious in this outfit.
But if you disagree, why? But then, what is your alternative?
Oh, I don't know.
So you disagree with that? You disagree without an alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair thing to say.
But you disagree, but you must have some opinion. What is your opinion of what a woman is?
I really don't know. I think it's a gender. I think it's a gender more than a sex. I think sex is female, and then woman is like gender. Yeah. That's what I would say.
A civilization that can't define very basic biological terms and stay close to them is a civilization in moral chaos.
this was just strange, because imagine being passionate enough about an issue where you go up to a mic to debate somebody whose entire job is debating, and then they ask you the most basic element of your question of what is a woman then, if you want to sit here and debate me about womanhood, and then you can't have an answer. It's like, oh, well, female is a sex. Like, okay, like, you want to bring up synonyms? It's like, this is just clownery. Like, at this point in 2025, I am tired of these kind of people. It's like, I don't know if this person needs an insane asylum or a chaperone, but get him both immediately.
Do you believe that being here in America here is a right or a privilege?
Is a right and a privilege.
You have a right to be here?
Yes, I believe anybody has a right to movement to wherever they want.
So you would get rid of all borders?
Yes.
So when you land from an international flight at JFK Airport, no passport checks?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for so bluntly telling us your view.
I'm a dirty commie, so yeah.
Yeah.
You are, and I'm glad that you know. I would probably add in musty as an adjective there too. I'm assuming this person is a musty, dirty commie. You know, my argument when I say to people, it's like, I try to give an analogy, because I don't like to debate, because when I start debating, I really just starts getting ugly, because I have limited patience. So I prefer conversationalist style sit down disagreements where, like, we sit and have a calm discussion. Now, if I were sitting there having a discussion with this person and they were telling me why they feel that everybody just has a right to be everywhere, I just bring up the simple analogy of, do you have a home? Do you have a fence around your home? Why do you have a fence around your home? It's not that you hate everybody that's on the outside, but it's like you have to protect what's on the inside and who is on the inside. And yes, you might be one of those people that is more willing than others to bring a whole bunch of people to your table for dinner, but there gets to a point where you have hit maximum capacity and nobody's able to eat pretty much anything. You get to a point where nobody's able to eat or nobody's able to be comfortable because you have allowed so many people inside. And the thing is, too, is the reason that America is great, and the reason that America is the place where you can wear that hideous flag hanging from your neck, is because of the rights that we have here, that we have fought to preserve here, the God-given rights that other nations don't acknowledge. Other nations do not acknowledge that our rights are God-given. So when you allow these other cultures, these other nations, and people to come in without any type of barrier of entry, without any type of ensuring assimilation, you end up in a place that is just chaotic and dysfunctional and anarchy. Okay, we are a civilized society because we have taken the measures that we have to protect and preserve what America is. So when people try to sit here and act like, oh, it doesn't matter, we don't need borders, you're an unserious adult. And this person, it's like, maybe if you were like a 19-year-old that was naive, I would understand it a little bit. But you are literally clueless at your big age. And it's really getting strange to me how you cannot take a step back from your own narcissistic perspective of the world and finally acknowledge that there is an element of truth that needs to be acknowledged, or an element of truth that needs to be, I guess, just acknowledged again. So yeah, you need to just understand that we need to take the basic measures necessary to protect our country. That's what it comes down to. Like, it's just so frustrating to me that these people don't see that. Open up the schools.
Hi, Mr. Kirk. I'm a student here, and I really appreciate you being here today to speak with us. I care a lot about protecting children and know that you value life as well. I understand that mental health and drug issues are a big part of the violence that we see every day in America, and I know that there's no black and white solution, but wouldn't implementing stronger background checks, especially for high-powered weapons like AK-47s, be a more reasonable and effective step to prevent school shootings and protect the children?
Why do we protect our banks, our airports, and our sports stadiums with people with guns, but not our schools?
I think that that's a fair point, and that...
And I'm not discounting, the background check thing, but it's incredible moral perversion You can't get in a Dodger Stadium without seeing 50 cop cars and people with guns everywhere. You can't go to LAX without going through basically a demilitarized zone. But you could go into a local Long Beach elementary school, and we decide to not protect our kids. So we protect our airplanes and our sports teams, but we don't protect our own children. And so you care about protecting children. I think that we should basically lock down these schools. People say, oh, I don't want our schools to be militarized. Well, then you don't want to protect our kids? You don't think you want your money to be protected at your bank? You want the payday lender to be protected, but you don't want your own children to be protected. So that's my number one solution to all that. And then I would end on to it. Listen, a lot of mental health problems. I have a different view. I think gun ownership is a right, not a privilege. And I don't think the government should get in the way of our right to be able to own firearms.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think that she came at that with good faith. I understand exactly what she's saying. I do think that there should be extensive, background checks, like not doing too much, but there does need to be, some mental health evaluations and things of that nature when people are buying guns. I can agree with that. However, this thing where we need to make it so where so many fewer people have guns, like that's insane. And the whole reason that we have the Second Amendment is not just to protect ourselves from other people, but it's protect ourselves from the government. So people do have the right to own firearms. And when it comes to our schools, like, yes, I think it's ridiculous that we don't have people that are armed at the schools. And it wasn't until I was older and I moved to California that I realized how uncommon that is. Because when I grew up, my high school had a police officer who was at the school all day, every day. And I'm pretty sure he had his weapon on him as well. And, which I didn't really like him though, because he went into my locker and he stole my phone one day as to teach me a lesson for because, okay, quick tangent story, because I'm really enraged about this to this day. Every other locker at my school, if it was an even number locker, if you didn't turn the lock after closing it, you could unlock it again. And the officer that was at our school hated that so many of us left our lockers like that. But I'm like, well, if I already have only a few minutes to get from one class to another, I got to be quick and efficient. So he went into my locker and took my phone one day. And then when I asked him if he took it, he said no. And he gave it to the office to try to teach me a lesson. Little did he know I was this close to buying a new phone because I thought my phone was gone. So you need to keep your hands off of people's possessions, Officer Wittenberg. But personal beef aside, I'm really happy you were there, Officer Wittenberg. You at least kept our school safe and secure. He was very intimidating, low-key. So I was very, I appreciated that. Even when I was more woke, I was never anti-gun. I was really intimidated by guns just because of my childhood. Like I've told you guys before how my family basically fled the hood of Chicago like refugees and moved to the cornfields of central Illinois, tiny cornfield town, 10,000 people, 95% white. And my mom was so terrified of the thought of my brothers and I getting into guns that we weren't allowed to have water guns. She didn't like me having water gun fights. She didn't want me having aerosol, our airsoft gun, however you say it. She didn't want any of that in the home. So I was more just afraid of guns, but I was never afraid of good people having guns. And I think it's really weird that people think that we should just get rid of all guns. And you can actually go through and look throughout history. Ask ChatGPT. One of the signs that your country is about to fall to communism is they're going to take away your guns. Every single time they have taken away guns from a society, it has led to the downfall of that society. Fact.
The Talmud states that Jews are the chosen people and all non-Jews are goyim, here to serve them. Ooh. You are a Christian who's clearly serving the Jews, defending Zionism with all you got. But you also believe Jesus is a rabbinic Jew in heaven when you know the Talmud states he's in hell burning in feces.
Okay, so you're a Talmudic expert, right? Which Talmud is that in? Jerusalem or Babylonian?
I'm talking about Jerusalem, sir.
Oh, that's the Jerusalem, which actually is not as divinely inspired. Which one's longer and how long is it? Don't look at your phone, look at me in the eye.
I'm not.
No, come on. You said that I'm a tool of the Jews, so look at me in the eye like a man.
I'm talking about the Talmud. I mean, do you support Israel?
Yes, of course I do. Yes.
Okay, that's good for you. But that's another thing. You're an advocate for the military in America.
Hold on, time out.
But then you agree with Israel's war crimes. What's up with that?
Oh, war crimes. We'll get into that, but let's be more specific. Yeah. What is your point here of dragging up a multi-thousand-year text that you don't know, that you haven't read?
I mean,
you have not even. Have you purchased the Talmud? Have you read the Talmud? What is the Talmud? Tell me the difference between the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Talmud. Go ahead.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know.
But
That's pretty important. Time out. So what you did is you cherry picked something on the internet that makes Jews look bad, but you can't tell me the difference between the Torah and the Tanakh and the Talmud.
I'm not trying to make the Jews look bad.
This is ridiculous. This is for clickbait. Let me tell you the difference. The Torah is the books that we as Christians acknowledge. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the most holy scriptures in Judaism. The Tanakh is also our Old Testament, right? That's Joshua, Judges, 1st and 2nd Kings, Hezekiah, Nehemiah, Ezekiel. The Talmud are rabbinic debates spanning over 500 years, of which there's the Babylonian and the Jerusalem Talmud. The Babylonian's actually more inspired, it's 2.5 million words. The Jerusalem is lesser inspired, and they disagree on all sorts of stuff, and they pick it up. Those are people that would say, well, I disagree with that. No, but hold on a second. But it's very important. You don't even know the stuff that you're bringing up to this event.
That's why I'm asking you.
No. It's really important because what you're trying is like this context. You're a tool of the Jews, and I read this thing. But let's just make this very clear.
Sir, it's an agree to a disagreement. I'm not here.
It's not agree to disagreement. It's very clear. Is that you don't even know the stuff you're bringing up to make someone look bad.
Do you agree or disagree? So I can
Of course, I disagree with rabbinic Judaism. I'm a Christian. Jesus is the solution. I hope every Jew gives their life to Christ.
And that's how you clear an anti-Semite. I don't know who that man is, but the audacity of him to come up there and play in Charlie's face, that was crazy. Charlie is a very nice individual, but don't try it. Don't try it because he just packed him up and shipped him on home. That was wild. And I get the same allegations all the time because y'all know I don't play about the Jews and I don't play about Israel. And, people always try to throw these different things at me as if I'm intimidated by the conversation. It's like, first of all, like Charlie was saying, the Talmud is essentially, if I were to break it down as simple as possible, they have all these different minds and rabbis and brilliant people that have been throughout, Judaism for a span of 500 years who sit there and they pretty much argue about something until they can't argue about it anymore. And it's basically examining every single direction that you can possibly look at this one subject. And that's why a lot of successful Jewish people, you can ask them if they study Talmud extensively, especially if they're an attorney, for example, and they'll often say yes. And it's because the way of thinking, the way it teaches you to examine things from so many different perspectives, that's what the Talmud essentially is. So, and there's so many different intersectionalities between Judeo-Christian values and principles and literature. And people love to just hyperfixate on that one thing, this one out of context thing, and then try to use that as a reason to put Jews and Christians against each other. Obviously, there's disagreements amongst Christians and Jews. There's disagreements amongst just Christians. There are a lot of disagreements amongst just Jews. Trust me, go to Israel and ask one Jewish group how they feel about the other. They will tell you all the different things that they, don't align on. But the thing is that's the beauty of America and of Israel and of Western society is that we are able to coexist even with our differences. Okay, so I am not going to sit here and allow terrorist groups to be the ones to take all of us out because you want us to disagree on certain texts that you don't even have the context of. Then he really tried to be like, oh, you're so pro-American military. Why do you support Israel? Tell me you know nothing about geopolitical politics without telling me you know nothing about geopolitical politics, okay? Because Israel is our most consequential and critical necessary ally, because where else, if we end up in a world war, are we going to base in the Middle East, okay? We're finally slowly starting to get some allies over there, which, questionable, tea for another day, but overall, Israel is our most necessary ally. They have the intelligence, they have the location, they have everything, and we have been by each other's side since the beginning. So really, people who try to say that, oh, you can't be America first and support Israel, America first doesn't mean America only. Okay, I am America first, and supporting Israel is a big part of me supporting America because they have our back and we have theirs. So people who try to go there, it's like, fine, let's go there. You think that we can just be isolated? You think that it can literally just be us against the world and you think that's going to be sustainable? Be so for real. Be absolutely so for real. Because if Israel falls and the whole Middle East is full of Islam, and not saying that all of Islam is our enemy, but when there's so many huge radical power players who want nothing more than to see the downfall of Western society, it's kind of necessary for us to have some allies. Don't you think? All right, so what a way to end that with Charlie Kirk gagging and dragging that person by his lace front, as he should. Shout out to Charlie Kirk. It's always great to see Charlie Kirk. He is so supportive of my personal work, my work with PragerU, and just everything that we are doing here at the conservative movement. So shout out to TPUSA. The American Comeback Tour was so iconic, and I definitely plan to do more work with them in the fall semester. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All the cousins, y'all know the vibes. We have to make sure that more and more people know about this show. So I appreciate you telling your friends and family all about the show, and I will see you guys soon.